Hello, everyone. Super excited to be in the lemonade stand today, but not for our podcast from the yellow chair, but for our webinar with Josh. Those of y'all that have not known me for very long, you may not know this about me. I am a sucker for good direct mail. Love it. I have seen the impact of it, I have seen the power of it. And y'all, I'm not going to lie. I'm obsessed with direct mail. So, such some cool things to do. And Lemon Seed has really been working well with Mail Shark for several of our clients and seeing some great, cool things going on. So he is joining me today. I reached out a while back and said, why don't we do a webinar? In August. And let me tell you, it's really because I know that the shoulder season for my HVAC clients is coming up and how I don't want them to fall asleep on marketing for that. So, Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you guys do.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Josh Davis. I am the Chief Revenue Officer here at MailShark. We are a full-service print direct mail marketing company that works with the trades to help them acquire and retain more customers and ultimately grow their businesses.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And we love working with you guys. As most of you know, really quick, Lemon Seed Marketing, we are a branding and strategy coaching company. We help contractors just know where to spend their money and with whom. So we love working with MailShark. But today, we are focused on marketing that sticks, direct mail that gets you remembered, but also gets results. And, I'm a big fan of setting expectations with our marketing dollars. So a lot of us, not one of us can say, you know what, I really don't care about how my dollars perform. So I know that marketing dollars are so hard to manage. People get so frustrated with the ability to measure, like, is this actually working? But today we're going to talk about how you just need to have clear expectations on what you are using your direct mail campaigns for. Is it for retention? Is it for call to action? Is it for branding? Just what are you using it for? But more than anything, I thought we would start off with our first little segment called Smart Mail. That's what I'm calling it, right? So, building campaigns and utilizing direct mail that's backed by data and built for results. So, like, just strategies that show why direct mail is still one of the highest performing marketing pieces. I did make a joke with Josh as we were prepping. I said, you know what I'm going to say is I still have people that say, man, direct mail market, does it even work anymore? Like, I feel like it's so old school. And I know that has to hurt your feelings.
Well, I've gotten over that over that hearing it so many times over the years. Ironically, I'll be with MailShark going on 16 years this year, and I can remember my first week people asking me if direct mail still worked, and continuously every year thereafter that has not slowed down. So there is definitely it seems like some type of, I think it's just lack of awareness and lack of how direct mail really works, and the mentality that it's this old school kind of outdated source of marketing, which couldn't be further from the truth, obviously. But I hear that a lot. So
Yeah.
anymore. I've grown a little bit of thick skin from hearing it over the years.
So, and I take it as a challenge. I'm like, listen, you have to trust the process. One of my clients, when they first came on with Lemon Seed, he was doing a little less than $1 million. And I said, I know what I'm about to tell you is going to, like, give you a little shock to your system. But if you'll give me 8% in marketing dollars of your goal and let's run consistent direct mail starting now, you're going to look up in 6 months and be like, man, why did I not start this sooner?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that if you measure it by the day, you might look up and be like, dang, I'm kind of disappointed. I didn't get any calls today. But when you look at direct mail as an overall scope of how it performs overall, that's when you start seeing the true impact of direct mail. And there's several ways that we can actually utilize our direct mail, just making sure it's done with a purpose, right? So I know that we have it for, like I mentioned earlier, retention. And I think you're going to talk a little bit, give some specifics down here a little bit about retention, but just staying in front of your customers. I have to remind everybody, Josh, all the time, you are a time of need service. Very rarely is anybody watching my content that people want to do business with. Okay. No one wakes up and goes, you know what I wish I could do today is get a new roof put on my house.
Right.
They might wish that, but it's literally because their roof is falling in. Not that they want to go spend $20,000 on a roof or an HVAC system or a water heater or repiping or a big pest control treatment, right? A new swimming pool, all those things. The new swimming pool is the only thing that people get excited about. The rest of it, they're just not as excited for. So we have to work really hard, right, to stay in front of our customers on a consistent basis. So I know that's what you talk about a lot for the retention side of direct mail.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, most of our customers are doing acquisition and retention because they're both very important, but we
Mhm.
have many that just do retention,
Mm,
and I think that's the place that everyone should really start is how do we retain our current customer base, right? If you
yep.
have a leaky bucket of turning over customers, you're never going to be able to really grow. So retention, I think, is the most important piece to talk about first when we're talking about direct mail.
Yep.
Unless of course you already have a solid strategy for that, but retention is absolutely critical.
Well, and I think that there is a time and place again that people hear me preach this all the time too. Having a plan is not having a strategy. I can know that I'm going to use MailShark for my direct mail, but what is the strategy behind it? And when you come to the table to meet with these different vendors, you need to know what you're trying to accomplish. So going to a direct mail vendor and being like, I want to focus on retention. Okay, what does that mean? How often? Are we prepared with a budget? And then I have to ask questions like, are you at capacity? Like,
Yeah,
right, you just told me that your technicians, you can't do anything else because you don't have technicians to run the calls, but we're over here driving lead count. So, like, what is your, recruitment plan? All of this is behind having a strategy to utilizing mail and then using data based off of the trackability of it, which is basically how we're going to talk about proving that it pays, if you will, how to measure that ROI from direct mail
yeah,
is setting up the actual tracking numbers, QR codes, landing pages, whatever your strategy is for capturing people that are experiencing or that are having an experience with your direct mail, knowing what works, right?
yeah.
Knowing is it actually working? And so, what do y'all normally recommend for people like what sort of expectation should they have from direct mail?
That's a good question. Well, it's certainly different conversations for expectations from retention to, new customer acquisition. Interestingly enough, I would say, it's difficult because every business is a little bit different, right? If
Yeah.
you just open your doors, you're going to see a different response rate than someone that's been in business 30 years, where people have seen their branded vehicles around, their yard signs, their billboards, and all their other advertising. We see locations that are very heavily branded, getting a different response rate than ones that really aren't. So that whole what type of response rate can I expect is an interesting question because there's so many variables that impact that. But everyone wants to know a number, right? So you have to come out with some type of reasonable expectation. And what we see is anywhere response rate wise from maybe a quarter to upwards of 1% on the high side. So that's response rate, but really, what does response rate mean? What most, I say probably every business owner is really more concerned about is how much money did we make? And
Right.
so, yeah, and so that's really what we're interested in getting at. And what I love about direct mail is the trackability.
Mhm.
With marketing, it's so hard to track. You're so many different places. You have your website, you have your branded vehicles, you have yard signs. Maybe you're doing pay per click and AdWords. Maybe you do a billboard. You're in local events. Like there's so many channels that you're marketing in. It's hard to really identify where the leads are coming from sometimes. And what I can tell you just from my experience at MailShark, and we market in all different places, when you ask a customer how they heard about you, they never really know, or do they
Mm.
say something that might not even be actually accurate. So going back to what I love about direct mail and the trackability, and how we really recommend tracking it is with what we call a matchback analysis.
Oh, I love a matchback. I'm a sucker for it.
Yeah, and so, is it 100% foolproof? No, but what it does is it takes the mailing list that, of course, we use to send your direct mail piece to prospects and compares that to the new customers that you acquired. And so we can say in no uncertain terms, these customers you acquired received your direct mail piece, and they received it within X amount of days, or they became a customer within receiving it from X amount of days. Now, what that doesn't tell you, and what we're not, saying in any uncertain terms, is it's the only thing that got them to call you, right? Because it might have been a lot of different things. They might have asked
Yeah.
their neighbor and saw your a yard sign, or saw the van, or whoever, whatever the case may be. So we're not saying it's the only thing that got them to react, but what we can tell you is, hey, these people got your mail or are now a customer. It was definitely part of their journey to get to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so what's great about that is, it used to be a manual process where we would have to tell our customer, hey, send us your current customer database from the date the mailers went out, and then we'll do this match back. But we've grown up past that over the past couple of years and gone to an automated system where we integrate with companies like ServiceTitan, which we love, and other CRMs, and we're APIing that customer data right out of their CRM into an ROI dashboard that we have that compares it to the mailing file and gives real revenue numbers. So at a click of a button, you can now see how many new customers you acquired from the mailer based on the matchback analysis, the revenue they generated, what week they came in on and became a customer on, and a lot of detail from there. And it's all our customers' data. It's not anything that we make up. All we're doing is comparing it. So that transparency is invaluable, because now we know, hey, it's working, how well it's working, and then we can pour more fuel on the fire in overall in the overall strategy, but then dial into what areas are working and what areas aren't, because there's always a little bit of tweaking as you mature with your direct mail campaigns.
What are I know you mentioned ServiceTitan. One of our guests is asking, do you have an API yet with Job Nimbus?
We do not. I will mark that down. There are a number we are working on.
You're constantly working on that part.
Yeah.
But the good news is, right? The good news is if they don't API, so we have customers that don't have ServiceTitan or, one of the, what I say, one of the more popular CRMs, you still can pull the data and share it with MailShark, and you guys can match those things. So I want to talk a little bit about this too. So here's the important piece. And again, contractors get sick of me saying this, but remember, I have been a contractor. I have sat in an office, my brother and I running a heating and air conditioning company. Just my job was, employee retention, but also the marketing and the branding of the company and driving lead count and revenue and how I did it. And one of the things I really had to understand, and I really implore everyone to understand this, it was the sum of all of my marketing together that generated a good marketing plan.
Yeah.
And so I want to really make sure that contractors understand, if you are literally going to go, I got no calls from that direct mail today, you are going to constantly be, that's why a lot of contractors can't stay with with internet companies. They can't stay with or website companies, paid ads companies. They change mail vendors all the time. It's because everybody is like jonesing for a lead instead of like letting things work and marinate and mature. And so definitely, I encourage you here to really understand the importance of the matchback report is to get down to it. They might have gotten your postcard and 2 days later they got to work and they were like, oh, dang, I meant to call that company with the Sheila's on here, one of the clients that we helped rebrand, that Penguin company, air, and they go search it. So, but what triggered that and what was a part of that was your direct mail. I am assuming y'all connect with House Call Pro.
Yes.
Getting close.
Yeah, we absolutely do. However, it's only the people on the max plan that we're able to API with.
Okay.
For whatever reason. That's just how their system is. But yeah, to your point, absolutely. It's if they don't have one of the CRMs that we integrate with, we can just do it manually, and it's not a big deal. You just send us your file and we'll do all the legwork. So it's not difficult. It's just a little bit of a different process.
Well, and to be clear, all you need to do is say, hey, I want to match back. So I want to match back into my CRM what new customers since I launched direct mail with you, company, right? Yep. Ideally, MailShark. But since I launched direct mail with you, I would like to see how many new customers are new to me and were on your mailing list, and appreciating the fact that your direct mail was a part of that client coming on to use you for services. And so it's really about a good understanding of that. So not only so the good point here, just say they don't call the tracking number that's on the postcard, but they still receive the postcard, and within a certain amount of time, they still reached out to you as a company. That's why these matchback reports are great. So love a good matchback report. Also, I love y'all's dashboard as well. I love the insight. And I'll be honest, this is not a commercial for MailShark, but you should be thinking, right. You should be thinking as a contractor, how can I keep my finger on the pulse of this advertising tactic? So mail, for your direct mail strategy, what you've put in place, your mail plan, your creative, the offers, the frequency, all of that, how is it working overall? And are you being a good steward to work with that vendor on giving good feedback? That is where fireworks happen, not with us sitting back like, well, I mailed one time and it didn't work, so I can get on my soapbox about it, because as
Yeah.
contractors, we're not patient. And direct mail, I think, on a scale of how quick is this going to work versus how much patience do I have to have, I think patience is probably going to outweigh the direct response to direct mail happening immediately. There
Yeah.
will be some immediate response, right? But there's also going to be a healthy amount that comes just over time of frequency and consistency of receiving those cards or
Yeah.
whatever you're mailing.
Yeah. We absolutely see that. I'll say one thing that I'm probably the most excited about right now with our ROI dashboard is, and we've had it, gosh, I don't know, a couple of years now running, but as we're tracking all of these campaigns for our clients, we're starting to amass a lot of data.
Mm.
So what that means is we're going to be able to say, hey, out of the 1,000 contractors that we have in the HVAC space, here's the average return they're getting on their ad spend based on real campaigns, versus me telling you, hey, it's a quarter to this and that and all these numbers. We're going to have real aggregated numbers and data that says, hey, here's what it is. Now, that's a little maybe untransparent because there's good businesses in there, bad businesses, and so forth.
But it gives you a direction.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. Before I hopped in on this call, I was talking to my vice president of sales, and he was just actually running some return on ad spend numbers. And I said, hey, send me that file real quick. And what was interesting to me was one of the large training groups, I will leave them unnamed, the more sophisticated one of the largest. We have a lot of their members, and he ran some numbers based on 96 different locations over, I think it was a little over maybe 6 to 8 month period. And they got a 0.78% response rate overall and a $20.52 to 1 return on ad spend. And so I was like, wow, how powerful is that number? All of these members in your group that are mailing with us are getting this return on ad spend, And what was even more eye-opening to me was we took another group of 46 locations that were training group members, if you will. They weren't part of this group, and they got a lower return on ad spend and a lower response rate slightly. So what that tells me is the more sophisticated HVAC locations, the ones that are heavily branded, the ones that have great websites, which all these companies do that are part of the training groups, get a better return on ad spend.
And I think that too.
Yeah.
That also comes from, and listen, we've learned this at Lemon Seed. When a client is like, hey, I'd like to consider coming on board with Lemon Seed, one of the first things I look for is, tell me about your business coach or your best practice group.
Mm-hmm.
And some people say, well, I don't believe in that. I'm like, okay, because let me tell you what's going to happen. You're probably not exposed to best practices as far as like getting those average tickets to good rates. So, average tickets for install, average ticket for maintenance, average ticket for service. And a lot of times you're not operationally focused.
Yeah.
You're over here just worried about leads. When I have to break the bad news, like, it's not a lead problem, it's an execution problem.
Yeah.
And so I would 100% say that tracks, that those of them that are with a sophisticated and heavy operationally focused coaching group are going to outperform those that are not in a group every single time. But also, like, man, brand matters.
Yeah.
Brand matters.
I was just going to say, you can clearly see the difference in design. And, I think that we do a great job on all of our clients' designs, but the ones that have strong branding, strong logos, strong images, their pieces just look better. They're better branded.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It has to have an impact, on.
Well, so I tell people all the time. So I see two types of people. I see people who just are like, man, everybody knows me by this roof that's red and blue and has a snowflake on top of it. Everybody knows me as that. And I get it. Like, I really understand. Listen, my family, red and blue, our last name, right? So it's not earth shattering. So we had to work a lot harder than people that have an easier brand. And so Lemon Seed has rebranded some companies, helped them rename their company, and helped them build out something that had some teeth to it. So direct mail is a good example. So we actually just got a client that launched a hedgehog and some cool stuff. And so we even were coming up with taglines and campaigns around this hedgehog. So it's so much easier to get good content and creative ideas and design when you have something of a foundational piece to start with. When you don't, and you have something that's very dry and plain, man, you're lucky. And then you're like, man, this just doesn't kick. I'm like, what do you want me to kick it with? Just
Yes.
red and blue. So
Yeah.
yeah, so having fun with a brand and like reinvigorating your business with something that's very memorable, and then don't just sit on it. That's another thing. Josh, I got this client the other day, or potential client, and they call me, and the first thing I tell them is, I love your brand. And they're like, thank you. We can't even release it. We don't know what to do with it. And so they're just running this old branding, sitting there with this beautiful new brand.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, why have they not? Well, they just are stuck in analysis paralysis,
Uh,
overly analyzing everything. And so, listen, in direct mail is something that is so easy to build your brand. The graphics, when you have a good brand kit, you send that over to MailShark. All their graphic designers, number one, their designers are probably going to be like, hallelujah, something to hang on to.
right there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, again, this is really good. I love what Josh is saying here about the fact that those of you that have a solid brand with some unique identifiers, more than just a good logo, you have like taglines and things that are sexy and fun and can really be brought to life with direct mail. It's one of my favorite ways to be very consistent and very on brand. But I think that the secret sauce is what I always like to talk about. So when I'm talking about different vendors to our clients and helping them choose, new vendors to work with, which is one of the biggest things that Lemon Seed offers, is making sure that you as a contractor are partnered with the right vendor partners. But crafting simple but powerful mail messaging that actually converts. So this client the other day, they were like, well, they had like 17 bullet points.
Mm.
And I was like, no one's going to read this.
No.
No one's going to read this. So what do you think are some of, like, I call it MailShark's secret sauce, if you will, of like, how do y'all approach like offers or branding or design? Like, what is y'all's approach to that?
Yeah. Well, if they have strong branding, it definitely makes it easy because we just work around that. Right. And so you're absolutely right about clients that come to us with a strong brand. It makes everything so much easier. But you also hit the nail on the head with direct mail. Less is more, always. Like anything else that you have, you wrap your vans, your yard signs, anything. If they're too busy, people aren't going to read them, right? They're not going to be able to tell what's going on there. And with direct mail, you have a couple of seconds to capture someone's attention. The piece has to be scannable. It has to be clear. The fonts have to be large enough. And it has to resonate, right? So less is definitely more. And really the goal of the direct mail piece isn't to tell them every single thing about your business. That's what your website's there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Your website's there to take them through your journey and really give a full explanation of all your services and everything you have to offer. The job of the direct mail piece is to get their attention, right? Brand you and let them know that you're there and you're a reputable company that can help them out in their time of need. And most people, a lot of people do call from the actual number on the direct mail piece, but nobody's not going to your website or reading your Google reviews on a home services company before they call you. So keep that in mind. Less is more on the direct mail piece. Make it easy to read, make it scannable, right? You don't have to tell them every single thing about your business, right? Most important things, services, maybe some unique selling propositions or benefits that you offer, reviews, Google ratings and so forth. I had a client actually not long ago. He had this really nice direct mail piece and he didn't want his Google reviews on there. And I like get my hands around that. I'm like, they have over 2,000 4.9 star reviews. So, I think that's a critical piece. If you get something in the mail and there's someone with that many reviews.
Oh yeah. It builds authority. I mean, gosh, come on.
So certain things should go on there, right? A QR code to make it easier for them to schedule when they're ready. But less is more, right? That's the key. As far as offers go, on a new acquisition campaign, I like a couple of different offers, right? I like having a kind of a broad coupon strategy that might have something for everyone. But I would say at the very least, if you're going to do one offer, right? Because no one wants to have 15,000 offers and give away the farm. But you need something to, create a sense of urgency. I like the save on any service offer, right? That is an all-encompassing offer that will allow them to save on any potential problem that they have. So, for example, if you do HVAC, electrical, and plumbing, this catch-all offer will allow them to save on any service that they
Yep.
may need, instead of having an offer for electrical, an offer for plumbing, an offer for heating and cooling, and making it, I guess, just be overwhelming with multiple different offers. And quite frankly, it can get very nichey with HVAC if you're starting to get into some of these nichey offers that really might have a very narrow audience for a specific type of repair or system. So I like to save on any service offer if you're going to
Love
do.
that.
Yeah. There's some other offers, of course, I recommend, but that's the one I would say to consider. And you
Well,
can do it. Oh, sorry.
no. You're good. I want to say this, that one thing that sticks out to me that you said is I call those low barrier of entry offers, right? So you need something that really makes it non-risky to deal with your company. So let's say that I keep putting it off, right? I've already survived the majority of summer with my air being janky. That's my East Texas word. With
Yeah.
my air being janky and like my electric bill being high, but I'm about to be in the fall. So maybe I can wait it out, right? Um, I think the goal here is they get your mail and it's a low cost for you to come out and check my system out. That's a
Yeah.
low barrier of entry. Like it helps me get in the door. Once I get in the door, then I provide options. And the bare minimum is I get them on our maintenance plan. And so those low barrier of entry offers are good, like tune-ups, water heater flushes, free like bed bug checks and termite checks, indoor air quality if you're a duct cleaning company, roofing, like free roofing inspections or gutter clean outs. Like there's some cool stuff that you can do for all those different services that are just so low that it gets you in the door. And honestly, y'all, we need to be getting you in the door. So it's a great place to use your direct mail, but save off any offer. I already know some of y'all are like, oh, that will never work. What if they want to use it on this? Listen, $50, if $50 is going to bankrupt you, then we probably have a whole nother set of issues. So if someone calls and says, well, I want to use this $50 on top of this $200, it is not worth the argument. Like win the day, look at it as an opportunity. And I just see so many contractors, Josh, like they'll get so hung up on the outliers, the two people that might call about your coupon. Listen, this coupon that you're offering or this discount or this money back and things like that, these are just things to catch their interest and get them involved.
Yeah. And you could put all the disclaimers and, everything on there. But I think that sometimes it gets a little narrow sighted with owners and not just the home services space and all kinds of different verticals that we work with, not looking at the lifetime value of their customers, right? How
Right.
much is this customer going to spend with you over the time that they remain a customer, over 5 or 10 years? And a couple dollar discount on the front end to acquire them
Yeah.
makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, the LTV, that's the new tracking number that track KPI that everybody's looking at, lifetime value.
Yeah, it's so true.
The LTV is a really important. Those of you that are on here that are marketers, I want you to know LTV, the lifetime value, is not a KPI that you should be sleeping on. Once you earn a customer through it, especially if you're earning them through the more expensive acquisition cost like PPC and things like that, I would be watching what is the lifetime value of those customers. So that's a great call out, Josh. I really appreciate that call out there because it was great. And for everybody that is watching today, and I know Tyler, we answered, or Lupita was able to answer your question. Lupita is running our chat section over there. She loves to see. We would love for you guys to tell us where you are. And if you've ever tried direct mail, now's a good time to comment over there. Where are you? Maybe your company, anything you'd like for us to know. We'd love to know what services we're talking to. We can customize our message a little bit there for you, or I can. But Lupita's popped in there our link. If you ever want to schedule a free discovery call with Lupita, we can tell you all about us, or we can make the introduction to Josh at MailShark as well. So click that link, fill that out. We're happy to talk to you. But I want to move right into mail that multiplies. I go into this a little bit about that acquisition, which is the direction that we were headed. The acquisition side. So have you ever seen mail programs that just didn't what's my word? Just didn't land, like they had overanalyzed and overprocessed this in their mind. I have a quick story that I'll tell to give you time to think because I know I didn't prep you for this, but I had a client one time that was like, I want to do a direct mail offer for $350 off an Ion air purifier. So I was like, okay. He's like, this is a great deal. So I was like, I completely understand. Too bad that the actual average homeowner has no flipping idea what you're talking about,
Yeah.
nor do they understand the value of $350.
Right.
So, also there's this like psychological game with saying like 10% off. 10% makes me think, oh, that's low. That's not really an urgent offer. But 10% off of a $3,500 product is a different thing. So I'm just saying to you here, like, I tried to encourage this contractor to think through, like, we're about to mail out all of these things, and the offer on it is going to be lost. It's just going to be totally lost.
Yeah.
And so I just want to encourage people here to think through the strategy behind your direct mail and how it plays with every other part of your marketing. Like Lemon Seed lives our life around helping home service contractors understand, like, what are you doing with your marketing dollars? Are they working? And helping you craft good messaging for your direct mail. So I know you've probably seen some disasters like in the making, like I can't let you do it.
Yes, we have. And fortunately, I think with everything that we recommend, there's a why behind it. And there's been a couple that have gotten by with, owners do what they want to do what they want to do.
Your company, friend, your company.
Yeah, it is. And we can sleep good at night knowing that we've helped guide them with the best advice. And then, if they do it, they do it. I would say an interesting one that kind of dovetails back our previous conversation about offers and now kind of to your point about this offer that didn't work with the Ion is the furnace tune-up offer is one of the most popular offers we see HVAC companies doing. And what's interesting is, and if you can go through this exercise, Google furnace tune-up offer and do an image search. And what you're going to see is it'll say furnace tune-up and have a price, $79.99. And that's it. Well, what we can tell you is nobody knows. The vast majority of homeowners have no idea what HVAC companies even do, let alone what a furnace tune-up offer even is, and let alone why they should call you to schedule one.
Yeah.
So we actually have some consumer research that we've done on this exact topic that you can download on our website if you'd like. We did it about a year and a half ago. And we took the standard furnace tune-up offer and compared it to an updated furnace tune-up offer that explained the benefits of the furnace tune-up offer and why they should get it. And we went out and asked 1,771 homeowners which offer made more sense, the offer with additional context versus just the plain furnace tune-up offer. And 87% said the updated version. And that's just eye-opening because, you can send out this offer, furnace tune-up for $79.99, and no one's going to ever redeem it because they don't know what it is. They don't understand it. And why should they buy it? So I think it's an interesting use case for making your marketing impactful and having offers that are not only strategic, but have additional context because homeowners don't understand technical jargon and some of the technical terms that are just used every day in the industry.
Well, I'd say this all the time. This is the life that we all live. So I work, we do the strategy and implementation for a roofing company. And one of the things that she's getting ready to launch is a maintenance plan but really what we're offering is a low monthly cost. But when she sent it over to me, like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to inspect this. We're going to do that. And I was like, okay, wait, I don't know I work with you every day. And I have no idea what this means. She goes, oh, we're going to put up an emergency tarp. I was like, oh, we need to say that. Emergency tarping. And she's like, oh. And then she said, well, we're going to check for, she called out like some little rivet things. And I said, okay, so you're basically going to make sure I have no sharp edges pointing up through my shingles. And she was like, yes. I was like, so back this information down to be consumer level. She lives a life of talking to her team all day long about soft wash versus power wash versus all this other stuff when we have to talk in consumer language. And so I think that homeowners like homeowner language as well. So that customer that I talked about with IAQ, one of the things I said is we at least need to educate on the front of the card that says, do you have kids that are sneezing during the night? Do you have pet dander floating in your air? Do you have dusty furniture? So people go, yes, this is me. Yeah. I don't even know what this ionizer thing is, but I need it, right? And those of you that run like fencing companies and things like that, why would let's say you're going to give free quotes and things like that. Why is your product better? So if you tell me a weird a weird industry specific technical thing, I'm not going to be able to do it. But if you say, hey, because our fences have this particular coating, it is going to last 5 years longer, or on average, or, our gates have safety locks. Like, stop using this like fancy jargon as much as you just explain. And I would say 3 to 5 would be the most amount of like points that I pointed out, because then they're going to stop reading. But what are the most impactful things spoken in their terms that they can use from you? And furnace, I live in East Texas, and so we need our furnace about 30 minutes a year.
Yeah.
Okay. We have the same issue, but on the HVAC side, one of our clients was like, well, we're not blowing out the drain lines. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, that's one of the most popular things that East Texas wants. And so he's like, really? And I said, yeah, because that's when their drain pan gets full. And so I could talk a little bit of that, but the actual homeowner has no idea
No.
the value to put with things. So it's our job to educate through bullet points or through the graphic on your card, other than just like $79 tune up. I love that. Same thing with a water heater flush. For my plumbers that are here, people are like, I don't even know this. Why do I need to flush my water heater? This is a scam,
Yeah.
right? This is shady. So there's just some cool things that you just need to think more like the homeowner and less like a business owner on that terminology, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people, when there's even HVAC, even that acronym,
Oh,
people don't understand. So part of this consumer research we did, we asked 11,169 homeowners if they know what HVAC companies do. Literally 50% said no. And I would venture to say, if we asked them, do you know what mechanical companies do? That would be even lower.
oh,
Right. So
yes.
the whole mechanical word without additional context after it. So absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. Remove all technical jargon, put it in plain terms, 100% on all of your marketing.
Yeah, just simmer down, as I say.
We're down
So,
heavy.
yeah. So when you layer your direct mail, right? So again, this is a process, and so I would recommend that you're at least looking 6 to 8 weeks out on what you're doing. How often do you recommend? So let's say I'm going to run a tune-up offer all year long, so I'm going to switch it up from from the, not HVAC, but from the cooling to the heating season, or I'm a roofing company that's going to go into like hail season. How often do you think I should be updating my graphics? Like, do you think we should be updating them monthly? Could I get away with seasonally? Is it important that they stay the same? What is y'all's take on that?
That's an interesting question. I think it depends on how many times you're going to mail throughout the year, right?
Mhm.
And your brand is your brand, so I never have a problem with leaving your brand just branded.
Yeah. Yep.
Being your brand is your brand. Could you add some elements for the season and some other things? Absolutely, to make it maybe a little resonate a little more with that time of year. But I'm always okay with leaving your piece with your brand, right? That's your
Yeah.
brand. Reinforcing that is very important to me. So I don't think you should be changing it up tremendously every time, right? Because you want to create the brand experience, but it can't hurt to over time change up some of the design elements. I think what's even more important for those that are doing consistent direct mail is changing up the direct mail piece and not necessarily the branding on the piece per se. So changing up the medians from a smaller postcard to a postcard magnet, to a plastic postcard, and just mixing up the mediums to keep your marketing fresh, I think is important.
Yeah, well, now's a good time. One of my most excited things when Josh and I did our little discovery call about kind of what we were going to talk about today, one of the things he's like, I actually have some good examples. And I remember as a contractor, I wanted to see it, right? So we get on these webinars and we talk a lot about theory and things like that. But I love the idea of him actually like showing us some things. So while he's getting that, McWilliams, which is my family's company, one year we did this plastic mailer and it had these pop out gift cards. And I was like, okay, this is weird. And it was a little bit more expensive than what we had been doing. But I still to this day, those cards, when we drop them as a part of our campaign and our strategy, perform so well for us. And I don't know if people just feel like it's worth saving. They just can't throw it away. It feels too high value. But I know you're going to show us some of those cool things. Same thing with like Christmas cards or Happy New Year or Happy Thanksgiving cards. Some holiday cards are some cool things to add in. And so, listen, it is cool stuff you can do with direct mail other than just postcards.
Yeah, it's funny because I was literally going to show you a plastic example next. That
Yay.
was not planned. Um, so yeah, I would say, one of the most effective pieces are the plastic mailers. They also do come with a little bit more of an expense than the paper mailers, just because of the materials that go into creating them. But they're unique. They're high quality, right? When you think about your brand, yes, we want to make your brand look great. But when you put it on a very thick, glossy card, like credit card feely piece, it just screams value and
Yeah.
high quality. So we love them. And so maybe I'll just hop into one that I think is the most effective. And let me focus on retention, because I wanted to dovetail back from our conversation at the beginning about how important retention is. So we have plastic mailers. We have a couple different sizes. Actually, we have 3 sizes, but I'll show you the 2 most popular. I don't know if hopefully you can see them well. It's a 5.5 by 10.5, and this is like a 4.5 by 6.5. Don't quote me on that. A smaller size, but for retention, these are the number one recommended piece. And so how they're used for retention, and it's kind of the same strategy on both, is so you're sending this to your current customers, right, with a special offer, which is typically a gift card or some type of discount off their next service. But what we're doing and recommending is putting an offer on there, and you can see this one we did for Big B's Plumbing, that has an offer for their friend and family members. So the strategy is, you already have a happy customer that likes you. You're sending them an offer as a retention play, and then hopefully you can get them to share this for a friend offer with a friend or family member. And we did that for Big B's, and I have some numbers here somewhere. My post-it might have fell off. The numbers are on our website in a case study, but they generated, I think, 16 new clients from this mailer. So 16 new customers redeemed this specific offer from a retention piece. So why not, right, turn that retention piece into a referral piece as a heavy hitting piece? So we love that.
Yeah.
And you can do that. And they did that here with Cardinal as well, where they did for you, for a friend, and they actually did some extra savings as well. So that's a great one. We have one here from My Plumber Plus that did the same thing. But this is the number one, right? As far as retention, if you're going to do the first piece to start, I would highly recommend the plastic. You can see they have the pop outs. So I'll pop out the middle one here. So they're thick.
Yes.
Very heavy stock. But we love that. It's a retention play that you dovetail into a referral, and it creates a win all around.
What one of the questions that we have in the chat is, based off your data, how many touches in the mailbox per year are you seeing as the sweet spot? Sean asked that question. He's a roofing company, but so based off your data, how many touches in the mailbox per year are you seeing as the sweet spot?
That's a good question. I don't have any data on that specifically. Hopefully, I hope to have that soon once we aggregate more of the data from our ROI dashboard, which is really what I need. But what I can tell you is most of our customers are mailing within 5 to 6 times a year. Now, that doesn't necessarily speak to that being the sweet spot per se, but that's on average what, how many mailers our clients are sending out. We have some that go out monthly, but on average, it's about, about 6 to 7 times per year on average. But I will hopefully have some data soon that's a little more concrete with regards to that.
Yeah, one of the things that Lemon Seed, like our little Lemon Seed way, is we say, I would love for your internal customers to get a direct mail piece every quarter. So that's, once every 3 months, you're landing something in their mailbox that's unique and different. And then prospecting, which is, where you're like going out and mailing to non-existing clients, right? We just roll through our list where they're getting mail every 6 to 8 weeks. Again, that's pretty much going to track with Sean, Josh here. But I will say this. I think that this is actually going to answer the question that Lupita just posted. If you do direct mail now, what works better for you, service reminders or seasonal specials? I think this speaks right into that I'm a big fan of, for prospecting mail, it being a very like a low barrier of entry, like we talked earlier. But honestly, I mail it all the time because I need to catch you when you care about that. So if I may have to hit your home 5 times. Let's say the average card is costing me $3. I'm willing to pay $15 a year for me to be in front of you that many times, so that you might use me in 2 years. So a $60 lead is cheaper than most people are paying for any lead anyway. It just takes a little longer. And then seasonal specials, I think, are just easier to do. But service reminders is a unique thought here. I have several clients that use a mail service to mail out physical, tangible postcard reminders that it's time for their service with their maintenance programs. But we have been encouraging our clients to add a little kicker on there, like, hey, we're going to be out at your house hopefully in the next couple of months. If you add a water quality test or a water heater flush, you can save an additional 50% off. Call our office and schedule both. So there's some cool things that you could be
Yeah.
doing with those reminders as well. But I love the referral piece there. A lot of our clients are asking, what are some cool ways to do referrals? So I love that idea. Y'all mailed to an existing database and gained 16 new clients. That means at least 16 people probably handed out their referral card to a friend or family member that needed your service.
Right. And one thing I did want to clarify, and you mentioned it, is when I was talking about the, on average 6 times per year, that is on the acquisition side. Retention is 2 times a year to quarterly, so 4 times on average.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah, they're not mailing their current customers every month.
Well, do you guys, how do you feel about tangible newsletters? Josh, like, do y'all still have some clients that are mailing out newsletters?
Not a ton, to be honest with you. We don't do a ton of letter mailing. Actually, I have one here. It's an interesting one. That's a referral piece that is like a rebate check inside.
Uh-huh.
So interesting. And so a lot of this is really more popular in auto repair, but we're trying to bring it more to home service companies. Is maybe going into your CRM and like finding out. Looks like a check on here. Finding out how much your customers spent with you throughout the year, and then giving them a certain percent back on that in the form of a check with a little bit of a typed letter thanking them for their business.
Yeah.
Like that as another retention play. If you're gonna, if someone's gonna do 2 to 4 retention campaigns a year, plastic definitely being one. We like a letter component as well. One interesting one that I have here too is from Blue Ox that did a scratch off card, that says, "Thank you for being a loyal customer. Scratch for your special offer." I thought that was cool. We love scratch offs. I don't necessarily love scratch offs in general for new acquisition plays. Kind of weird to me, but on a a retention campaign, I love it. Right, engages with your customer. Underneath, they're going to get excited to win some type of discount. So this was a cool piece, I thought. And then they have a couple of coupons at the back. So retention 2 to 4 times a year, but mix up the pieces like with everything else. Right, don't just send the same plastic mailer 4 times a year.
Yeah, again, I know this is like repetitive from Lemon Seed, but like you need a strategy, not just a plan. You need a strategy, you need creativity, you need to think outside the box, you need to get creative with, how you're going to get new customers. And so, hey, I'm about to wrap up here, but I want to make sure you guys know that the chat is still open. If you have a question that you want Josh to answer or me to answer, feel free to pop it in. Remember, we are going to email out to every one of you that registered a copy of this webinar so you're able to watch it. Both Josh at MailShark or Lupita at Lemon Seed would love to visit with you about what services would look like if you're not. And so we would love to know your questions. But a couple little final thoughts, and I want to tell this story because it really did change my perception again of direct mail. So, little client in Arkansas, and he was a very traditional businessman. He was just a really good, kind man in his community. He did a lot of good things. He did a lot of just good. He was just a good person, right? A good person doing good business. So he had gotten to a decent revenue for himself, but he tells me, he's like, I need to sell this in like 5 years. And so I said, okay, let's go. Well, one of the first things again that I did for him was we launched, this is back in the day when I handled every customer. I launched a tune-up reminder card for him. And then I started listening to the calls and figuring out, and he had been around so long that this direct mail, when it first landed, the first 2 mailings, it was not great response. And so I was like, I know I'm about to be weird and say, just wait for it. Just wait for it. And he was like, okay, I'm trusting you, but I just, spent $800. And I'm like, I know, listen, just trust me. And I think he kind of forgot about it for a little bit. But then on week 4, all of a sudden, the calls started coming in and they started coming in. And so then it was like, okay, we booked 1, we booked 2, we booked 5. And it just over the years. So he was able to actually position his company to sell in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
because not just because of the direct mail. I mean, we got a solid website. We updated his, well, he already had just come to us with an updated brand, but we brought that brand to life. We helped him with his maintenance club. And then I was pushing him operationally to get his average tickets up. And he just bought into the process. He trusted Lemon Seed, which is our number one goal, is that we earn trust. And he settled in with direct mail being the biggest consistent driver. We were tossing in other things like a little Facebook stuff, but really our consistent driver was those direct mail pieces. And twice a year we did a printed newsletter that we mailed out to his existing database. And we would write articles about some of his technicians or something going on in that market.
Cool.
And it won for him. And he still to this day will send me pictures because he sold his company. He's like, here I am in Alaska in a canoe, and I'm like, man, direct mail really did shift that for him because he trusted the process. So, well, Josh, any last words, any final thoughts on direct mail as a part of your marketing strategy overall?
No, I would say I wanted to show you some more direct mail pieces. I know we ran out of time, but I would say the number one thing is find a partner and look at a lot of different companies, but that understands the process from start to finish. And what I mean by that is that they're using your data and making data-driven decisions on where to send direct mail to, making sure they're removing your current customers, making sure they're removing undesirable addresses, and then tracking it heavily to make sure that it's working, right? And if there are areas that aren't working, you adjust, and that's going to happen, right? So I would just do your due diligence, take a look at all the companies that are out there, look at their capabilities, but ask the right questions, right? How are you using my data? How are you going to track my direct mail? What's your strategy, your marketing strategy to help me acquire new customers, retain new customers, and basically everything that you really would like to know.
Absolutely. So just a little friendly reminder, I'm Crystal Williams with Lemon Seed Marketing, lead strategist and founder. And Lemon Seed focuses on coaching you through strategy and creativity with your overall marketing. Where do I spend my money? How do I know what's working? And we help rebrand and build companies from the ground up. Or if you're 50 years old company, it doesn't matter. We're here to help. And then Josh over at MailShark has all things direct mail. Any other things that you guys have? Or I know direct mail is your main push.
It is. We do offer apparel as well.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of tie the branding together. But the direct mail is still our primary offering.
Awesome. Awesome. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you need any of us, please feel free to email hello@lemonseedmarketing.com. We are happy to present you to Josh so you guys can see if y'all would be a good fit or help you on board with Lemon Seed. So, thank you so much for joining us today. Everyone, have a great day.
Appreciate it.